for the last 2 years, I've sent in thousands of cards to check out my cards, both through the mail as well as dropping off cards at card shows as well as card shops. And what I want to do for you guys today is make a comprehensive tutorial showing you how you could do that. We're going to first go over some of the rules about submitting cards, and then we're going to talk about how you can do this on the website. So first side of things is like, what can you submit to COMC? Well, there's a lot of different options, right? And the first is going to be graded cards, right? In my opinion, graded cards move the best on the platform. And yeah, you can submit in stuff like this. What I would recommend is to check if your grading company is accepted at COMC. Now they accept all the major ones, right? Like PSA, SGC, CGC, BGS, BVG, but there are some smaller brands that are not accepted on the platform. So double check. That list does change time to time. So I'm not going to list over all the other grading companies outside the big four. Additionally, right, you could submit in sealed cards. So stuff like this from Leaf, this Joe Montana autograph, or an autograph buyback of Dwight Gooden from Topps Archives, right? These are both acceptable cards to send in. What you can't send in is something like this, right? This is going to be a counterfeit 1953 mantle. Now, there's a big distinction between a counterfeit card as well as a reproduction card. A reproduction is licensed by the official company or another reputable company, whereas a counterfeit someone makes it at home, right? This is a counterfeit 1953 mantle. You cannot send this in to the platform. Another card that you can't send in, right? So something like this. This is a Herschel Walker autograph. Now I got a BGS authentication just taking a look at the picture and sending it over. But it is not like enslabbed, and it is doesn't have a JSA sticker, right? No raw autographs on the platform, right? So even though that I did a photo confirmation on this card, I cannot submit this card over there. Don't waste fees on that. Okay, now on the raw card side of things, right? Big distinction. When you are submitting in cards, make sure they are in penny sleeves like this, right? No, you can't send it in like this or like this. You're going to have extra fees associated with it. The only distinction is if you're going to send in a card to get graded through COMC and there's a specific submission that you have to do, these are acceptable because this is what the grading companies want to have, right? But if you're sending in a bunch of cards and you're expecting that 50-cent price level, do not send in cards in top loaders, right? COMC doesn't want them. Make sure that you send in a specific penny sleeve. Otherwise, you're going to rack up fees. Also, to mention too, if you do have oversized cards, right? Anything larger than like a 1952 mantle or a 1989 Bowman, there are additional fees associated with it, right? So don't be surprised if you send in tall boys and you're getting charged $3 for every single oversized card that you have, because that is the fee that COMC has right now. Additionally, one of the questions that people typically have is like, do you get charged more for jersey cards? And the answer is no. Now, I think there is some limitations on cards that are like probably like this thick, right? You can think of like a cleat type of card. Obviously, it's going to be charged a little bit higher, but like normal jersey cards or normal patch cards, you can submit those in the specific levels that you want, right? The 50 cents if a card's really like under $100 and you don't care how fast it needs to go onto the platform, or the $2 if the card is over $100, which is the next side of things, right? If you have a card that is over $100, please just submit it at $2 initially. You are going to save some fees, right? Don't sneak it in with the 50-cent cards or the dollar cards, because essentially you're going to try to price the card over $100 and you have to incur a $2 fee associated with it. All right, that's a quick intro. What we're going to do now is jump into my computer. We're going to do some walkthroughs on that side of things, and then I'll also show you how I dropped off cards specifically at the Chantilly card show. Well, a card shop right outside of Chantilly. Oh, one other note. If you are sending cards through the mail, just make sure you package them really nicely, right? Make sure that they are settled in the package. You can't rattle the cards. They're not going to get damaged. Additionally, I highly recommend that you have insurance on the packages that you send out. Make sure there's tracking, common sense stuff when you are going to be sending in cards through the mail, especially if you're sending in, 50, 100, 200, 300 cards, if not more. Make sure you have tracking, make sure you have insurance, and then you are good to go. Although my personal preference is always to drop off cards at a show. Yours might be to ship them if COMC isn't going to a show near you. All right, I'm going to stop talking right now. We're going to go through this tutorial, and yeah, let's go through it. And yeah, let's check out how you could submit cards with COMC. Also to note, COMC did sponsor this video, but I have been using the platform for a very long time. All right, so I'm here on my COMC store. What I'm gonna do first is take advantage of this free card submissions, right? The slabs side of things. So what I'm gonna do, click over here for full details. You can read a little bit more information, right? I'm recording this video July 6th. I'm gonna get this out as soon as possible on the YouTube channel, but it mentions items must be postmarked by July 11th to be eligible, right? So make sure that you have this ready to go. And it tells you the steps, right? To create a new mail submission, follow these steps. Number one, click Start New Submission in the seller menu on the COMC dashboard. So to show you guys where that at, right? We have the seller menu over here, right? And then what you're gonna do is look for Create New Submission or Start New Submission, right? So Start New Submission right over here. So then we go over to here and click that. What's gonna have is your return address as well as your phone number blurred on the screen right now, so you guys can't see that, but confirm that is correct on your account. Click Next. Then what you're gonna do is confirm your items are supported by COMC. It's a single card licensed, which this is an interesting side of things because a lot of vintage cards weren't licensed, but this is mainly talking about modern cards, right? Not vintage non-sports, not pre-war cards, because that has its own issues. Authentic, obviously you don't want to put counterfeits on there. Family friendly, there are some cards that are not family friendly out there. And then sellable condition, right? And so make sure it is on that side of things. Okay, so then what you want to do is click Next. And then what you want to do is choose what you want. Now, this is group grading service. I don't have any cards to send in to get graded right now. Actually, at the card show, Chantilly, I did drop off 2 cards to get graded, I believe 1 or 2. So I did choose that. You'll see that when we go into the card show side of things. But what I'm going to do is take advantage of this free graded card submission. Now, if you're dropping off normal cards, right, you'd want to use one of these other services that are over here, right? So you have consignment or you have high end, right? So you have elite and you have eBay auctions. Now, what I recommend on the elite side of things, right? These are going to be cards that are over $99. Otherwise, I typically just do the standard, which is 50 cents per card. Typically under cards under $100, I would recommend just going standard, right? But if you think a card is over $100, use elite. That's my personal preference. Unless you want to have cards in right away, then you can choose select. And I will say there are a ton of promos at card shows for select or elite services. So sometimes you'll get like 25% off at a card show. So it's really like 75 cents for select. So make that decision, right? Is it worth 25 cents more per card to get it in faster or slower? Personally, the cards I submit in, I'm not in too much of a rush to sell cards, right? As you guys can see, like I still have 1,000 to price. So I typically go standard for my cards under $100, but if you're on a time crunch, right, and you want to get cards on, sell it as soon as possible, maybe choose select for your under $100. All right, so we're going to do the free graded card submissions. So click on this one right over here. What's really nice, right? So no minimum submission. So you could send in 1 card or you can send in 100, right? So either or on that side of things. And then it tells you what's allowed, right? So PSA, SGC, CGC, BGS, BVG, and tag. So you can't send in HGA, KSA, and VCCG. Do have 1 KSA slab, so that is not going to be allowed over here. Okay, uncirculated card or encased, not included, unfortunately. Postmarked, right? No show drop-offs. So, okay, click on that one over here, and then click Next, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is send in how many cards that I have. Now you want to typically get as close as possible. You can see it must be within 20% of the quantity. Otherwise there's a $5 fee for processing. So I actually counted all of my slabs. I'll show you guys some of the slabs here in a second, but I have 123 slabs. So I'm going to put 123 over here. Okay. And then what I have next is the estimated value. Now I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know what the value of these slabs are. If I priced each of these at $25 a piece, let's just do the calculation on that right now. So what I have on here is 123 times 25. That would be $3,000. I think it's probably more. I'm just going to say 4,000 on this side of things because some of the slabs are going to be super cheap. Some of them are going to be more expensive, right? So we'll just say $4,000. Do your best to estimate this. Okay. So I'm going to click Next on here. And then what's going to say submission group 123 total items, estimated fees, and then estimated value, right? Okay, to my best of knowledge. And again, you can be 20% above or below the total items on here. And there's going to be no $5 fee. So what you want to do next is select a location. So again, you can't do the slabs for the free promo, right? You can't choose a card show for this, right? You need to ship to the COMC headquarters by July 11th. So what I'm going to do is select this over here, ship to COMC headquarters, and I'm going to click over here, approve submissions, right? So we'll click on that over here. And then you can see I have this number, which I'll probably just blur this here on the screen right now, as well as this, right? So what you'll see is you have to print in the submission slip on here. And it says, please include the following submission slips with each of the submission groups. So you can actually submit in multiple submission within one package, right? Just make sure to specify what is what on there, right? So this is the address that you're going to ship to, and then make sure that you have this specifically on the cards that you're going to be putting in. And honestly, it's that easy, right? So let me just take a walkthrough really quick. If you're going to do a card show, now there's two different approaches on the card show side of things, right? You can actually do this whole process at the card shows or card shop that COMC is setting up at. The people at the booth are awesome to work with at COMC, right? And they're going to be at multiple card shows. So I've dropped off stuff at Chantilly when they've set up there. I've dropped off stuff at Dallas Card Show when they've been there as well. Chantilly now, I believe they actually only set up at the Blowout Cards store, but they also set up at Philly. If you go to events on COMC, they'll show you everything on here, right? But there's two different approaches. You can prep it here online before you go to the show, or you can actually drop it off at the show itself. So let me show you really quick on here how you'd want to do this normally. So I'm just going to go over here and click start new submission, right? Again, over here, just confirm. And then what you would want to do is click next, right? And then essentially, like, let's say I'm going to do a standard submission, right? Click next, right? Let's just say I have 20 cards. Now, one of the things also to mention is sometimes there are minimums on stuff. And let me actually put a value in here. Let's just say $50, right? I'm not going to actually submit this, but I'm going to click next. I should say over here, you select the type of contents. So there's different contents you can put in, right? Graded comic books, graded oversized cards, uncirculated cards, comic books raw, TCG, oversized, or trading cards. So make sure you select your specific side. So I'm just going to do raw trading cards over here, right? And then you can select the submission center. So what this will do is tell you the different areas, right? So COMC will be set up at the National Card Show in Rosemont. So I actually do plan on submitting a lot of cards. So there's two different approaches to this, right? Number one is you could set everything up over here before a card show, right? Like let's say you're not going to go through bargain bins. So you would want to go and just drop off cards and you're done, right? So what I would recommend is you prep everything before the show. But if you're going to go through bargain bins, what I would also recommend is you kind of have an idea of how many cards that you have, prep them, take them out of the top loaders, different things like that. And then once you go to the show and you're done going through bargain bins, then set this up. Now, here's the caveat for the National, right? There's actually a promo at the National. I believe you get $10 if you submit over 500 cards. I'm just going to double check. Okay, so we're on the home screen. What we're going to do is just go over here to the National. So here you go. So if you actually prep your order early, right? So it says on this side of things, there's going to be one winner that gets $500 in store credit. 10 winners get 25, right? And then if you submit in $2,500 or 2,500 cards, you get $50 in store credit, the 25% off Elite. And then I want to say there's like a $10 one over here as well. Where was the $10? I want to say get $10 or more in store credit for early submissions created by July 29th. So what I'm going to personally do is my 1,000 cards or so, I'm going to make this into an order on here. Now, I don't have my full submission ready. Like I need to count out my cards and everything like that, but I'll make that submission ready. And then what I'll do is drop that off first at the National. And then I'm going to go through bargain bins. And then on the last day of the show that I'm there, I'm going to drop off another stack. And I'm not going to have that second stack ready to go yet. I'm actually going to create that at the booth. But what I'm going to do now is show you guys essentially what we're going to do at a card show or a card shop that COMC is set up at. Show you guys some B-roll footage of me getting my order ready and then narrate through it. All right, so this was my haul right after a Chantilly card show, and you can see like there's a ton of cards in top loaders. So what you'll want to do is take out all these cards from the top loaders, minus the cards that you are going to get graded. So I actually sent in, I believe, one card to get graded, which was a 2008 TriStar Clayton Kershaw numbered to 225. So that I believe you can still keep in a top loader if it's directed to grading. Although you need to have like the semi-rigid that PSA requires, to my knowledge. Everything else though, if it's going to be either the 50-cent cards, the $1, $2 cards, right, make sure to grab them out and populate them just in penny sleeve. Now, the exception is going to be if it is an encased card, right? So like sometimes you'll have a card from a manufacturer and it's sealed up. You will have to pay more for those type of cards, but there is that side of things. Also, ungraded cards, sometimes you'll have the sleeves on graded cards. Those are perfectly okay to still have. You can keep those on there. So first step when you get into the COMC booth, right? If you have time beforehand, make sure to grab everything out of the top loaders. Now, the staff at the COMC booths are really helpful. They can help you out getting these cards out of the top loaders as well. And if there's a long line, like just step to the side and start working on the cards by yourself. Don't take up the entire table, but if there's no one there, you can do that on this side of things. Just be polite, right? And yeah, so those were all my pickups from Chantilly. Took them out of the sleeves. The next side of things I did is I kind of just went through the website, like I showed you guys how I did earlier in the video, right? COMC has either tablets or computers set up at their booth, which make it really simple to set up an order. And if you don't know how to do it, they will also help you out with that process. So they're really good with that on that side of things. So get every card again out of the top loader, count how many cards that you have for each different submission level, and then just start walking through the submission process. It's honestly pretty simple, but yeah, you guys can kind of see some of those pickups on there. I'm not doing a full pickup reveal video for Chantilly just because of that. And this footage will also be used in my Chantilly vlog, but tons and tons of cards that I was able to pick up from the show just to drop off at the booth, so which I really like doing. Anyways, that is how to submit to COMC. Again, you can submit at home, you can submit at a card shop, you can submit at a card show, a lot of different options for you. And make sure to watch for the promos, right? As of recording, I'm going to send in a bunch of graded cards because it's free to submit. But often you'll find at shows there's a 25% promo associated with that select level. And yeah, that is it. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any other COMC questions, feel free to ask me down below in the comment section. I also do a monthly Q&A, and check out my COMC portfolio. I'm going to put the link down below as well. Use that if you want to start a COMC account. It is 100% for free, but definitely if you're watching now, take advantage of the free graded cards because it's a really awesome promo.